Hey guys, welcome to another episode of SavSocial912. I'm your host, Missy, and I'm here with Jon Bonus, who runs the District Live studio.
Yep.
And tell me more about what you do, because it's not just like one facet.
Yeah, so District Live Studios is the studio at District Live, which is at Plant Riverside. And District Live is kind of like the main overall venue for the Plant Riverside district for sure. And it's like a 450 standing room venue, and then there's a lot of different configurations, but it is the main hub for concerts and shows and events at Plant Riverside, and sort of that new revitalization of the Riverwalk down there.
The west side of River Street. So I think for anyone who's like visiting or who's been living under a rock and hasn't ventured to that part of River Street. So you're kind of that secondary building off the main hotel that has like I call it Jurassic Park Museum.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, so inside of there though, there's I've been to a few events, there's a lot of standing room, but what is the story behind all the vintage guitars and stuff on the wall?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. I'm glad we're doing this so people can know more about the area. So there's the Gretsch Museum there. So the Gretches, Fred and Dinah Gretsch, along with Georgia Southern, have donated a bunch of guitars. I don't even know exactly the amount of
they're like everywhere.
200 plus guitars.
That was the first thing I noticed.
They're classic guitars from the Gretsch. The Gretches over time, and basically they're either replicas or the exact guitars that were used for different musicians over many years.
Oh wow, I didn't know that they were
and so there's a partnership with them and Georgia Southern, because now it's the Gretsch School of Music with Georgia Southern. So the Armstrong campus has the Gretsch School of Music, and we're allies with them, and they do a lot of their performances at District Live. And then Georgia Southern, when they have, certain events that involve School of Music and the Gretches, they'll do it at District Live too. So
very cool. So I have you on today. One, I'm just very curious about what you do and what's going on at District Live, but also to kind of talk about the concerts coming in this spring and summer, and kind of how events happen at District Live, just to kind of get people in the know of what's going on. So I don't know if you want to start just sharing your story, because I know you have a audio musician background. So let's hear a little bit about you, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty.
Cool. So I am the producer, and I manage the recording studio at District Live. So there's a fully functional world-class studio in Plant Riverside, and it's called District Live Studios, hence, District Live Studios. But it's open to the public to book, open to guests to book. We've been lucky to have some of Savannah's best names come through to record, and a lot of the performers that come to District Live will offer to them to come and record with us too, or to shoot content. So we've been lucky, fortunate that we've had Grace Potter, Polyphia.
Wow.
We've had Gavin DeGraw. We've had, of course, the locals like Flau'jae, and Flau'jae's really big.
Oh, no way.
Oh, yeah. I did a session, and they released the song too, so that was cool.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, Flau'jae, Quando, wow. He's whatever anyone wants to say, he is still Savannah through and through, and he's one of the biggest rappers from Savannah. So
I mean, it's nice because I think people aren't really aware of how much music talent we have. I went to that event earlier this year where it was kind of a mixer for musicians and podcast people, and I was very surprised by the turnout.
Yes, yeah. And so that's part of it. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
That's also part of the role, or why I came down here to help the Kesslers open up District Live Studios and kind of hopefully grow the community in town. That's kind of been my main goal, is to try to do good world-class work and show the town we can keep it here. We obviously have SCAD. You're very familiar with SCAD.
Yes.
And then we have the Savannah Film Commission. So we're all talking. We all are kind of in the same. We just talked about the Gretches and the Georgia Southern School of Music. There's a lot of stuff happening. We just need to
Yeah, and I think Savannah's always had kind of really strong roots in the music scene. Johnny Mercer obviously was an iconic start to how there was even a music scene in Savannah. But I'd love to hear just where did you grow up and,
Sure.
go to school? How did you even get involved with like the Kessler group to get this started?
Yeah.
With what you can share. I know that they're like a little specific about.
Sure. I grew up, born and raised in Atlanta, so I'm Georgia native. And of course, Atlanta has like such thick music scene and thick music roots. So I was heavily influenced by Atlanta music scene. There's so much packed into that. So I went to St. Pius in Atlanta. I went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta for college. Wow. So everything I do now has nothing to do with my degree or anything like that. Right. But it was good that Georgia Tech was like in the middle of Atlanta. So that way when you're in college, you can go. I was interning at oh gosh, it's like every name has changed now since then for the venues. But I would intern at venues. I worked at the TV station doing the music video show.
Oh yeah.
I did a music minor program there, and that's kind of like what kicked off. Okay, I think I want to do this for the rest of my life, like music. I always wanted to do it, but for sure, once I started doing like music recording, in production, I said this is what I'm gonna do.
Was it scary to like make that pivot professionally? Because I know like we go to school and get a degree and stuff, and people have expectations, but like it's a little scary to pursue like a creative position.
It's probably more scary for my parents, but for me, no. I don't know. It just wasn't. I just wanted to do it, and there was no other option. I mean, I was interning at Sony Music at the end of my college. Mm-hmm. There was a Sony Music office in Atlanta.
Yes.
And I was interning there, and then there was no jobs right when I graduated. So I worked for like 3 months, like for this copywriter. So it was like creative writing for copy and stuff. So that was kind of in the songwriting, creative vein.
At least it's creative.
Yeah.
It's
and
not
then
like a desk job.
Instantly from the Sony internship, we met, like, you run into the other reps and stuff. And there was a rep at EMI, which is Capital Virgin. It's not in existence anymore because now all the labels have like been absorbed. Yeah.
Sure.
But the Atlanta office of EMI was had an opening for an artist development rep. So I just jumped on that. And it wasn't the best pay or anything like that, like you would expect that coming out of tech, but I didn't care. It was still like music. You're like working with all the artists.
You're doing what you want to do.
Yeah. So that's where I went. And then long story short, a lot of the offices closed down because iTunes, like the MP3 revolution was going on at the same time. And so it finally caught up, just like everything now. Everything's changing now with streaming. So like back then it was like MP3s, and then now it's streaming that's changing everything. And now it's even more like TikTok, IG.
Yeah, it's wild. Like I went to school before like social media was even really popular. We had like MySpace, Facebook.
Yeah, MySpace was my thing.
But I had like 10 friends who would like see my things.
MySpace and Facebook and like Twitter, maybe Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
X.
And now it's crazy. Like SCAD offers a whole major for like being a social media manager and all that. So I think it's good. Like good on you for one, like coming from an environment like Atlanta, kind of knowing that the music scene can have potential and be something. And I think that's kind of a gift to what you're doing in Savannah, because we definitely, there's so much potential, but I think having an outlet and a platform like District Live can be a huge game changer, especially if you're like a creative or an artist.
I think the part that helped was, so after that, like iTunes MP3 revolution-ish, whatever you want to call it, I went full production. I didn't do any label work. So the labels cut a lot of their jobs. So I just went full being a producer. And luckily I was able to work with like some big people in Atlanta, and that kind of like set me on my path. And then I moved to Colorado in 2012-ish, and seeing that scene, because it was a baby scene there too.
Yeah.
And it's still a huge city, but compared to here, Denver is, right? Compared to like a Savannah, but it was still a smaller scene. And to see it grow over like 9 years, by the time I got here in 2023 now, 2022, 2022, end of 2022, to see the similar like little hatchlings of a music scene.
Yeah, so this wasn't your first rodeo, like kind of building.
No, I
contributing to building.
Let's clarify. There was a good scene, like a nice and thick scene here. I'm hearing in like the 90s,
Yes. Yeah.
2000s maybe, especially for metal and rock. And so like I'm not, if you only heard that first part, you can definitely hear the second part. There's a nice scene here, but to like usher it into the modern age is kind of where I'm getting at is what we're here for.
And I think music has changed so much. And like, let's just talk for a second about like, not the demographic of music, but I think there's different areas of town and different scenes that like have different levels and types of music. There's like live music that happens at a lot of like the bars, restaurants.
Sure.
You know, obviously you mentioned the Riverwalk has live entertainment, but then there's more like high-end music happening at like District Live, the End Market Arena, some shows at the Civic Center, but not a lot.
Well, the Civic Center, I mean, I think it's really based on capacity in my opinion, because like you have End Market, which is, I don't know, it's like 10,000.
Yeah.
Like a 10,000-ish, right?
Yeah.
Maybe more, right? And then you have like the Civic Center, Johnny Mercer Theater, like that's going to be 800,000, to 1,000 plus whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like it's based on capacity, which again, District Live is like 450 standing.
Yeah.
And then it goes down. So like that definitely affects who can be booked and who can like, what's the best, what makes the most sense for the artist like to come into town.
Yes. And something I do like about District Live is that you guys have like a full bar. So the standing room is kind of a luxury because if you're enjoying the music and want to like step away to get a drink, it's not too much of a hassle. Like if you're at End Market, you have to leave your seats, you have to like go to concessions. So it's nice that you have that there. So
and there's parking now too. The parking, there's a parking deck there. It's always been there, but now they do $5 parking for all concerts.
Oh, cool.
So if people don't know that, it's pretty much every concert, it's $5 parking.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the downside of being down on River Street because there really isn't a lot of parking, especially on like the west side. So that's really good to know, especially if you're not staying at the hotel.
Yeah.
So we talked about that. Maybe we can talk a little bit about what's going on like at Electric Moon. I know we were talking about DJ Savage Sunday and how does that all work? Because he has a few DJs under him.
Sure.
Do you know or like?
I know. Yeah, we talked about Caesar. Like I don't even know some of their exact stage names, but they're all good people. Obviously, Sean, DJ Savage Sunday. Shout out DJ Savage Sunday.
Hi, Sean. So they play every weekend though.
Yes.
And just at Electric Moon, or do they play at? Because there's Electric Moon and then Myrtle and Rose, right?
Right.
Or like, are there any other places that do? Like
for the
music?
most part, the DJ music is 9 to 12 on the weekends at Electric Moon, and that's been going on for a while. I used to DJ on Thursdays there.
Oh, cool.
When I first came down
What's
here.
What's your DJ name?
It's just Jon Bonus. I actually don't even like saying DJ Jon Bonus. It's just literally like Jon Bonus. Like
Got it.
If you're Calvin Harris or something.
I love it.
Because also I produce, so like production's my main thing. So it's like a Calvin Harris. Doesn't say DJ Calvin Harris.
Yeah, but that's still really cool that you can kind of do both.
That was like, I mean, there's a lot of similarities as far as like needing to know the current music and current trends and like how people react to that. But I haven't DJed that much in a while, but we'll, we might pick it up.
I was going to say, if you ever are like special performance, let us know. I will put it on.
But DJ Savage Sunday, Electric Moons every weekend, Friday, Saturday for sure. I'm sure as the weather gets warmer, it's going to be expanded to more nights. They're also going to do, he does music bingo now, I think, on certain Wednesdays. He's really like taken that area and like, done his thing.
Anytime I see it, it always seems really packed. People are loving to like dance at the top of Electric Moon, and or it's a popular spot on the weekends. If you're visiting Savannah, check out.
We're not even making this up. It is like maybe the top spot, if not top 1 or 2 spots for like young people to go.
Yes.
And like drink, have a good view of the river, and like dance.
People love that slide.
Exactly.
Going down to the second level and sliding down. I saw DJ Savage Sunday.
Sean.
I saw Sean play. I think Caesar was there too on St. Patrick's Day, and it literally looked like a music festival. Like we got to he let me go on stage for a few minutes, but like there was probably like over 100 people just like pushed up against the stage. It's very impressive, and I think St. Patrick's Day is such like a chaotic holiday. It's like our Mardi Gras, obviously. So having like that many people in one space, I think is really impressive. And it must have been crazy to play a show like that.
It's,
bring in a little Savannah.
That's for sure. St. Patrick's is must visit, definitely Electric Moon. For the 3 that I've done, 3 St. Patrick's days, it's always been packed.
Oh my God, there was like a line around the block.
Yes.
So, and people were willing to wait. So I think that really speaks to like,
I mean, it's such a nice experience up there. It's not, the town has everything for everybody, right? And that is more of the like, I don't know if you want to say higher end, but just more fun, high ceilings, open air.
Yeah. And it's funny. I've lived in Savannah for 15 years. And I think that the people going out back in the day, we used to love like going down Congress Street and more of like the divey, like, basement bars, pool halls, all that. But I feel like there's a whole demographic that lives here now that likes the rooftop cocktail bars, like the high-end like hotel vibe. So I'm really glad that Electric Moon's there to kind of it's the best of both worlds.
The way, as being an outsider, it is when you go there to Plant Riverside, some other places in town too, of course, but you go to some of these places and you're like, oh, I can actually visit here, bring friends here that are from out of the country, out of the state, like even business people, investor, whatever, friends.
Yes.
And you can bring them there and it's no different than from
whenever Atlanta. I have people like visiting from out of town, I always bring them to the JW.
Yeah.
Or, I'm always like, welcome to Jurassic Park. It's like their whole lobby is really impressive. And it's nice to take people out and show them a good time. And it's not just like a podunk town where we're going to Barrel House for a show, like there's actually things happening. So speaking of things happening, why don't we just go over if you know of any events or because like obviously there are concerts, which I don't know if you want to like run through.
Yeah, I'll go over a couple of them
lineup.
For sure. Yeah.
So why don't we start with that? Because there's also events that you guys do that locals and visitors can enjoy. So what's going on this spring?
Yeah, so let's start with District Live. Lots of good stuff. Savannah Music Festival is very big here in town. I mean, everyone knows it, but it's spread out across venues in town, just like a normal festival. But at District Live, there are some pretty good shows there, and it goes through April 16th. So for the full calendar, just either go to SavannahMusicFestival.com or...
Is it like a 2-week thing or like what's the duration of the festival?
It actually just started. So it's from like now...
End of March to mid-April?
Sure, end of March. I don't want to say now because whenever you...
Like,
it's from end of March till April 16th.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and so you can find the full roster, instead of going through it right now. But every venue has some awesome artists, like high-end... good musicians, world-class sound, world-class production. So District Live is definitely not an exception to that. So check that out. It's almost built for these kind of concerts, to be honest, like the Savannah Music Festival type artists.
And that's like the benefit of the size of Savannah. I know we're kind of like a big town, little city, but you can do shows all around town and people can actually get to them and enjoy that. So that's super special. I also saw there were a lot of fundraisers for the music festival like earlier this year. So that's really cool that like our city and community are trying to.
Yeah. I mean, this is all part of it. When I tell people about the scene and trying to grow a scene somewhere, you need the festivals, you need the education. So you need, Gretsch School of Music, SCAD, you need Savannah Arts Academy, you need everything needs to be, forming. And then you need to have the jobs for these people if they get out of school. So then you have to have festivals, you need concerts, you need studios, you need writers and producers like starting this community here. And it'll get there. This is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, we're always slow to grow. And like Savannah's not the easiest place to like plant seeds and they grow immediately. You kind of have to like, be patient, wait a couple of seasons. But we definitely are kind of like, getting over the edge.
I feel that way. I mean, that's why I came here, like there's a lot of potential here.
So moving on from the Savannah Music Festival, what else do we have going on?
So in District Live, concert-wise, there's some good ones coming up. There's the Melvins. So they played District Live already, I think, twice, and they always sell out. So if you're a Melvins fan, metal, back in the day, I wouldn't even say back in the day. They're still relevant right now. So Melvins, Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block, he's doing a solo show. That might be close to sold out, but you check that out. And that's going to be a great show. He's going to do some of his normal I guess original music, I should say, like current, and then he's gonna do the new kids
Very
songs
cool.
too.
Do you get to like meet these people?
So I definitely get to meet them when they come in because they're just around, you know. So we try to either offer the studio to them to work in or shoot content, and we've been lucky enough again to do a ton of content with some of these big names. So yeah, I try to say at least what's up because it was Savannah. So like Savannah. It's not a major market, so once you get somebody who's coming through town, you absolutely must meet them and like try to make the connection. You know?
You never know how like meeting someone's gonna change the trajectory of your career or whatever.
Or the venue now all of a sudden they're like, oh my god, I love that town because we can record there, we can also play here. The town sells itself. Now the town itself can sell itself for a visitor and a traveling musician. Yes. It's just like being able to provide them the things they're used to in the bigger markets.
Definitely.
So, concert-wise, what else? There's Nicotine Dolls. So Nicotine Dolls has the front man was on America's Got Talent.
Okay.
And he's got an incredible voice. If you haven't checked him out, so District Live's going to get that one. And Savannah, if you're around, you should check him out online. Nicotine Dolls. His voice is cool, and he's all over America's Got Talent from like
that's so awesome.
2-3 years ago.
See, this is why I'm glad you're on kind of walking us through because I think just looking at a flyer doesn't do it justice. Like kind of knowing the context behind it.
Sure, yeah, and look at that.
Makes me want to go already.
Look how different the acts are. There's Joey McIntyre.
Yeah.
And then there's Nicotine Dolls, who's like current, modern. I keep saying current, but more modern. And then there's Melvins, which is like, hard rock, and that crowd always comes out to support. And again, the history of the town being hard rock based.
Yes.
Of course, Johnny Mercer.
Yeah, of course. And then aren't the Allman Brothers from around here or something?
I think you said like I think there's a tribute band. Oh, that's what we're going to talk about. Aura Fest.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Aura Fest too. Speaking of rock, so the Aura Fest is going to be held primarily at District Live. So that's, again, Andrew Sovine. Everyone knows him in town. He's playing. There's lots of other bands that are going to play, and it's going to be the first kind of fest of that type to be held at District Live.
So let's talk about the District Live. Obviously does some killer concerts in town, but you guys also do events that like locals and visitors can enjoy. So if you want to like walk me through it.
Yeah, sure. So one of the hottest things right now at District Live is line dancing with Step South. So Step South, they do an incredible job of teaching line dancing. It brings that like Nashville experience. Not to say it has to be Nashville for line dancing, because there's a definite like specific culture here for line dancing in Savannah and Statesboro. So don't hate me for saying Nashville, but I just say that because it's such a movement, and every time.
Yeah, it's definitely a niche.
Yeah, you go out, someone that in a market that is established as country, this Step South does it as good as that market.
Yes. Well, if you guys are interested in getting into line dancing and learning. Yeah. Well, yeah, because there are some places like Saddlebags has lessons, but you really have to kind of like know the songs and kind of have an idea beforehand. Right. They'll be like, okay, you do this, and that, and then let's go. And I need someone who's like, they're facing this way, and I can like follow their steps.
That's exactly what it is. That's what it is. That's good. She's so good. She like doesn't even miss a beat. It's like, she was born to do this.
Yeah, and it's funny, line dancing I think is like inching its way into like our culture and social scene here. Obviously there's a lot of places to do it, but I know like the Savannah Bananas and the Party Animals have like a line dance that they do every game. Yeah, and, exactly. All that. So it's cool to
Who doesn't like a nice choreographed. It's almost like the TikTok, because of TikTok.
Yes.
Again, now I don't think line dancing went away here, but like now, like just being part of a choreographed like movement.
Well, I think there's nothing better than when you like learn and nail a line dance. I can like speak from my own experience because when I go to like the club scene, I feel like I don't really know how to dance to club music. I will just wiggle against things or people and hold a drink and look like I'm having fun.
You gotta have the drink. The drink is like your confidence.
Yes, it is what grounds me. But then my friends will say when we're at Barrel House dancing that they'll be like in the splash zone because I'll be dancing and my drink just
splashing everywhere.
Luckily I drink vodka soda, so I don't stain anyone's clothes.
Someplace like that though, like you're gonna get,
Exactly. But I think that line dancing is definitely making a comeback's not even the right word.
No,
but I'm
just
with
like,
you,
it's like coming to the surface. It's getting its exposure that it needs. You know,
yes,
it's finally getting
it's
the
getting like the credit that it's always been due. It's definitely what the cool kids in town are taking part in. Okay, so we covered the Step South.
So then also on property there is we talked about DJ Savage Sundays on the weekends and music bingo too on Wednesdays. There is for the Masters tournament that weekend, April 10th through 12th, 10th to 13th. The first tee is going to be all over property, and they're going to have putting greens.
Oh, cool.
Last year there was a simulator. I'm not sure if they're going to have it this year, but there's putting greens. There's games for kids, for adults, and that's going to be going all throughout the Masters, and that's totally free. Just so
that's
show
something
up on
you could
property.
like bring your family to the river walk, and they're just going to have little golf things.
We did. I definitely remember putting last year with my daughter, like all over property.
That's so sweet.
So, and then they're going to have drink specials too at Electric Moon and Myrtle and Rose and whatnot.
Very cool.
There's that. And then for Easter, end of the month, there's going to be an Easter brunch with an Easter egg hunt with a rabbit. So you got to go online and book tickets for it, but you can check that out on
I definitely think the brunch scene over at like Myrtle and Rose, and I don't know if Electric Moon, they serve food, but I don't know if they do.
They serve their food actually. I think they have they just launched a newer menu which has some of the older stuff. But their food, don't sleep on Electric Moon's food. I'm not even like
you heard it first.
Again, I don't even work for Electric Moon or anything like that, but their food is surprisingly like really good. Yeah.
Good food, good music.
Yeah, good food, good music. And then the roof, like during the day, as you know, it's just it's nice up there. Yeah.
Beautiful view, good place to
Myrtle and Rose too has a new menu too. If you haven't been in over a year, they actually have a more expanded menu, and that's Chef Eric. Shout out Chef Eric. And then Simon, of course, the director of the hotel. Like they've worked a lot on developing that menu, and it's so good.
Yeah, man, I'm impressed. I feel like there's so much going on the river, especially in the social scene. So I'm really glad you could like join me and kind of fill me in on the events happening.
The other thing is it's probably, unless you've been down there, there is, I think it's interesting enough to talk about. So they had District Barbecue and District Seafood, and there's a stage in the middle where they have live music. So they've swapped it now. So now District Barbecue is on the side that's close to the smoker.
Right.
So it's a closer, like more barbecue experience because the smoker is right there. So it's like direct from the smoker into your
very
onto
cool.
your plate almost.
Dude, I've seen some cool shows down there. I saw like an aerial group, like a circus group.
Yeah,
once,
that was Cirque Divina back in the day. Yeah,
yes.
I think they had another group in there too. But there's a magician now that comes again. Now there's another musician.
Do you like know anything about that? Because I saw he like just signed on. And like, does he do shows on the weekends? Or
he's more of a street guy.
Does he like walk around?
Yeah, he's more of the street guy that goes around the property.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to like go hunt him down.
Find
him.
So again, as the weather warms up, like more things are starting to happen, more events are starting to happen.
So before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you a few questions about like your studio and some of the podcasts that you guys produce, because I think that's something that's like a little bit of a hidden gem right now.
Yeah.
So first, maybe walk me through like what the studio and recording process is if you're like a musician, and then maybe talk about a shout out to some of the shows.
Yeah, so now we're really in my world now.
Okay, good. Yes, thank you for playing nice with all the
stuff, but it's all part of it. I mean, honestly, the studio is part of District Live and kind of the Kessler's vision of being the entertainment district of Savannah.
Right.
So to have a studio that can accommodate world-class musicians and like that, again, what you can find in other markets, you know, that's kind of what he wanted to do. So
like if you walk into the studio, you see the podcast studio like in the window.
Yes.
Right?
So that was and is a radio station studio too.
Oh, cool.
So we're under hush hush right now, but you'll hear some news about the radio station studio again as the radio part of it.
Okay.
But podcast wise, a lot of people like using that for podcasts. And our main podcast right now is Zinzi's.
Yeah.
Zinzi's Chris Smith.
Chris with Zinzi's.
Shout out Chris Smith. We love
Hi, Chris.
They've been shooting their podcast and they're on episode like 18 or something.
Yeah, I've seen their cut downs, and I like the stylization because it's
because
like
the fonts
and everything.
Fonts, that's Tyler. This guy Tyler, one of the I think he works for them now, but I just saw them yesterday. So good people.
They have like a really good energy, and they interview people who like work with them, right?
Yes.
I think I saw one guy talking about how he like moved here and started working, or he worked somewhere else, like Carrabba's or something. And started working. for them. But Zunzi's also has like a very cool story and a good culture.
Yes.
If you're visiting Savannah, you should go to Zunzi's.
Zunzi's, yeah.
Zunzibar,
Zunzi's.
Yeah, exactly.
So there we've been doing their podcast now for a couple months. I've had a lot of either one-offs or here and there, sporadic podcasts that will come in and shoot an episode or two, or they just need the audio for it. So that's the thing. Like sometimes people need the video and the audio, and some people, as you know, just need the audio. So lots of audio, tons of audio.
Yeah. Well, you're the right guy to go to for audio.
Yeah.
Things,
And so Ben Sheffield, he's the videographer on property, and he does a lot of that video for if someone wants to book for the video side of it too.
Definitely.
So yes, another guy, another not even guide entities, Eat It and Like It. So Jesse Blanco, Eat It and Like It. I've been doing his audio for a while in the studio.
So what does their podcast entail?
I mean, he's like he's a media entity at this point. He's got like a show. He's got a 30-minute spot, on TV on the news, and he's covering Hilton Head. He's covering St. Augustine now. He's covering Savannah. He does the food festival. That's Eat and Like It Food Festival. I just saw him yesterday too. He just needs audio for all the things he's doing, all the little bits he does online, his podcast on Spotify. And then on top of that, the promoting anything he's got going on. So we do all that in-house. He does some of it at his house, but like we've tried to develop the look for him to shoot at the studio. And I mean,
definitely.
We're on, I don't even know how many sessions we've done. We've done a million of them.
Yeah.
So.
And I think building your own brand visually, like through video, can have its own challenges too. So he's very smart to come and work with you guys. I'm very impressed. Like I know we met at an event and have mutual friends, but I think it's been cool to really learn about everything you do. You wear so many hats and kind of like know so much about the city. And what I like the most is that like you see the potential and the direction that Savannah's going in, especially with the music scene. Because I think it's easy for people to come here and get discouraged and say like, oh, there's no good shows. Sabrina Carpenter's not playing here. Like all the famous rappers aren't playing here.
Oh man, there's shows. There are shows. I mean, like that's another thing. I mean, hopefully like your podcast, and as the word gets out, it's like we're not dogging anything about the town or the people in the town, but there are good shows out that are coming out, and you just have to go out there. And I don't know whose role is it supposed to be to get everyone together, but it's a collective thing.
I know. I want to like find out. And
it's a collective thing. So like End Market has good shows that come through.
Yeah, it's definitely come a long way.
For that kind of Sabrina Carpenter thing. Sure, maybe not Sabrina Carpenter.
I know. Sorry, I may like her a lot. So that's why
I love Sabrina Carpenter. So. I voted for her most
president?
Of her stuff. No, just for the Grammy stuff.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Because I'm on the Grammy chapter for Atlanta, so I get
cool. Vote. Wait, how does that all? I could keep you on for like hours, but wait, how does that all work? Did you get to like go or anything?
I went. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I went this year. Yeah, I watched the whole like.
We should have opened with this.
Yeah, so I'm part of the Recording Academy Atlanta chapter.
Wow.
And you get to actually vote on that, song of the year, record of the year, album of the year.
That's so cool.
So I voted on Sabrina Carpenter for Espresso, for I can't remember if it's single or record of the year, because there's a difference between not single. Sorry, I'm pretty sure I did. I'm almost 1,000% sure I voted for her for record of the year for Espresso. Then there's song of the year, which is different than record of the year. Song of the year I voted for Billie Eilish, Birds of a Feather.
Oh, that's iconic.
Yeah, and for album of the year, I did do Sabrina Carpenter too. Yeah. There's so many songs on that.
I feel like between Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan, and Billie Eilish, that's like trying to choose which child I love the most.
Yes,
I could never.
And then of course, like we won't go 1,000% down this path, but of course Beyonce won.
Of course. We have to thank Beyonce for this episode.
Yeah, thank you, Beyonce.
Thank you, Beyonce.
If you know, you know. She knows.
Exactly. This will go far now.
We'd like to thank Beyonce for letting us do this podcast.
Yes, our Lord and Savior. No, but that's so exciting. Like, I think that's such a credential and like something that the city needs is just somebody who has like the backings to.
There's a couple people in town that are part of the Recording Academy chapter, Atlanta chapter, or maybe wherever chapter they were and they came in. So yeah, some of us are starting to populate Savannah. Dave Cobb is like the biggest name here, coolest, sweetest guy of all time, and he is I mean, guys, he's like a monster in town. If this like helps give you guys like monster in a good way, like if this gives you any encouragement, like
Right.
Dave is in town and he's working on the biggest projects. He just got named, for Universal Creative CC.
Creative CC.
Yes, chief creative officer.
CCO or something.
Yeah, CCO,
Chief
Chief Creative Officer for Universal Nashville. Like, and he's here in town. Like, that's the whole Universal.
That is so impressive.
Umbrella. You know what I mean?
I think I'm really happy that I had you on to just even like spotlight some of these really talented people who are working behind the scenes and, collaborating with the talent that is here.
I'll say shout out Ethan too. Ethan Barrett is his head engineer here, and he's an awesome dude too. And again, there are people here that are like starting to work and like have full-time positions at studios because there's enough work to do that. And live sound too. Dustin, I got to shout out to Dustin too. He's at District Live. He's the production manager there, but he's been doing sound in town for 20 plus years.
That's so
He's
amazing.
World class. I've been all over, and Dustin like knows his stuff, and he's the guy who does all the sound at District Live.
That's amazing. I'm almost thinking I should like come visit you and do a tour so you can put
for
some
sure,
names and faces and all of
that.
So I think we've covered all of our events homework for now. Is there anything else you want to share about anything going on there? Say hi to your mom. Beyonce, or any final words.
The only thing I'll say is the same thing I said at the end of the party, basically, and it's like not even a line. It's like I'm proud of like the work since I've been in Savannah. Proud of how I've seen the city grow and the music community grow. There's so many names to throw out there that have been like part of this community's Savannah Music Collective. Mary Dugas, like she's killing it, and it's people like this that really care about the community here and that are trying to get it going from all aspects. Again, like education side, the professional side, the studio side, the live sound side, the musician gigging side. There's so many good people out here. It's just there. So as long as people keep
and I think there's a lot of passion behind all of that too, which is going to blossom into an amazing music scene. So thank you once again for taking the time to walk me through what's going on at District Live and all the fun happenings on River Street. So I'm definitely going to go to some of these shows. So very excited.
We're going to see her. We're going to see Missy line dancing here. So come out to that
if anybody would like to have a laugh, one of the Fridays in between March and April. I will post a funny video, I'm sure. All right. Well, thanks for having me. And then obviously I'm going to just put this to a close with, if you want to know more, you can go to the District Live website to know about shows and things going on.
PlantRiverside.com.
Plant Riverside.
Or the District Live Savannah at District Live Savannah on Instagram.
Awesome. And then we can find you on Instagram too.
I'm at Jon Bonus, JONBONUS, or at District Live Studios on Instagram.
Awesome. And once again, this is SavSocial. Thanks for joining for another amazing podcast episode. And you stay social, Savannah.
Stay social. That's a kind of a tongue twister.
All right.
You stay social, Savannah.
But really, you should stay social. Thanks, Savannah.